So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world. And welcome to another interview with the Shield Dude on a Couch. I'm joined by John Hoffman. He's one of the people on the duo Stomach. So, they're a sludge band from Illinois. And John plays the drums and sings in this band. And we're here tonight to talk all about their first album called Parasite. They had two EPs, but this is their first full length. So, John, how are you tonight?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you, man?
I'm good. So we were talking offline about like we clearly don't have the typical like I love metal look.
That's true. Very clean cut. Honestly, we could just be like dudes in a coffee shop somewhere, you know?
Yeah, but yeah, there's a point in life. Yeah, you can listen to different types of music and not have like that typical like look that everyone has. So you just released your first album on October the 20th, and I listened to it, and it's a pretty interesting album because it's very sludgy in your face, and you guys worked on it. I believe that I was reading that you started working on this full length back in 2020, correct?
Yeah. Well, the band kind of started in 2020. I've had some of these songs for quite a bit. But I would say that I probably started writing for this record in maybe like 2021 or 2022, something like that.
Yeah, and so there's not a whole lot of drummers that are also singers, and the drumming on here is pretty like fast paced. There's like some parts like really hard. So, is it hard for you to do the singing and the drumming at the same time?
It actually isn't. I've kind of struggled for a while to like figure out like what I was gonna do in this band, like when we played live, because like I mean I record all the instruments like on the album. So it's like real like I play the guitar, like bass, like I record all that shit myself. When we did our first show, I played bass and sang at the same time. And that's just like that's extremely hard for me to do. Like I just am not good at it. So that's why we switched it up and I decided to play drums and do vocals. And I think that I don't know if maybe it's because I'm like a drummer and
Mhm.
I write the songs. So it's like maybe subconsciously I write the vocal parts like to the drums and that maybe that's why it's easier.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, when I started trying to do it that way, I just like realized how not complicated it really was. It was like it kind of came naturally. I don't really have any trouble drumming and singing at the same time.
So you basically wrote a lot of the instruments for this. So you basically Dave Grohl the shit out of this.
Yeah, man. It's like the first Foo Fighters album that
Well,
tape he did.
well, anyone who listens to this, it does not sound like the first Foo Fighters album.
No,
Like
it doesn't.
the
There's
concept that you did it all yourself, but no, musically, it's way different from what a Foo Fighters. I love Foo Fighters, but this is way different from that. So
just a little bit.
a little bit. So I'm gonna. So you named the name of the band. You named it Stomach. Why exactly did you pick that name for the band? Because I was thinking maybe I don't know. I was thinking the music is kind of harsh. Maybe it's hard to stomach. I'm like, was that
That's
the
not a
idea?
Yeah, that's not a bad assumption. That's kind of like something you can kind of take away from like the vibe of it. You know, it's pretty brutal, it's pretty harsh. I would say that stomach is kind of like almost like a metaphor for like it's like you digest what you take in, you know, like in this world. So like, you know, whatever you have are exposed to and like everything that like basically you take in, it kind of like stomach is almost like like a metaphor for that. Like it's like your body processing everything that you take in almost. So yeah, I kind of view stomach as like a really like the stomach itself is almost like a very interesting organ. You know what I mean? Like it's like every single thing that you put in your body gets processed by that organ. You know, I
Yeah,
just
I know. This year I have twice food poisoning, so my stomach has suffered this year a little bit.
yeah, and you know what? I think that like if you think about like the content that of like that stomach, you know, like the lyrics and like the bleakness of the music and all that, like it's kind of like a fitting kind of brutal name. You know, it's kind of like I mean, my world outlook is not very positive. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
well, when I read that name, it's like this is gonna sound exactly like Air Supply.
yeah, yeah, you know, it's like you just by the imagery and the name, like I
Mhm.
kind of feel like it's not there's not really a ton of surprises there. It's kind of you can just tell by looking at the album that like what it might sound like. It's like, you know, very slow and dark and you know, heavy. So,
And yeah, it's pretty heavy for having two people.
well,
It's very noisy.
yeah, I mean, I'm happy to say that like with the few shows that we played, like people have said that it's pretty heavy and loud, like in a live setting. But I'll admit, like when I recorded Stomach stuff, I mean, like there's like a ton of guitar tracks, so it might as well be like 50 people if you think about it, you know.
Yeah,
But
well,
yeah,
you don't want to be like Slipknot that you have nine members, and apparently the other day Corey Taylor said, "Oh, boo-hoo, I don't make enough money." I'm like, come on, bullshit. Like, come on, you're one of like the biggest bands in the world. What do you mean you don't make money?
dude, that guy is doing just fine. Let's say
I think
that.
he's doing fine because he
Yeah.
has a solo album that sucks.
Yeah, it's terrible. You know, I
It-
fuck that guy, you know?
what would Corey Taylor think of us discussing Corey Taylor?
I think he'd probably have the attitude like, "Oh, I don't give a shit about these two guys," you know?
Yeah,
But
like who
but I mean
who the
that's
fuck is Stomach and who the fuck is the Shield dude?
but I mean if you think about it like that goes for, we could say that about any famous person, you know? I think like at the end of the day you and I still have the right to talk
Yeah,
shit about some dumbass,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like that.
I just find funny that he's complaining. Like he said something like, "Oh, we don't make Taylor Swift money." Of course, she's a pop artist who's like super huge. But and you're nine people. You know what? I would tell to him, you know what? When you're making the band, you probably could have say like, we don't need to be nine people. Do we really need someone hitting a trash can? I don't think so.
I think that'd be funny to like just suggest to him, like, listen, all your problems could be solved if you would just not have as many people in the band. Like you could
Yeah,
have
just like for like you could have like four people, and that would be that you wouldn't like really a DJ and stuff. So it's funny. But yeah, we discuss everything here. Like we go off topic, but I just find it funny. And especially today, I don't know if you saw the news that Spotify is doing something to fuck over the like more indie artists, like the ones who have like obviously smaller bands like yourself, where it's gonna be like if they make like less like I think I read like something plays, you'll get like 0.5%. I'm like, oh my god, like like how else are they gonna fuck up the artist?
yeah, I know. I will say that as like a pretty much nothing artist compared to like most, you know, Stomach's not like super popular. Like we don't I mean, I would like to grow the band more, you know, over time. But for right now, I mean, like not a ton of people know who we are. But I will say that I don't think that most people in like the underground scene are like expecting to get any money from that. You know what I mean?
No.
At this point, it's like a very minimal. I mean, like I think I did the math once, and like even like a band like Turnstile, who's like huge now, you know, like they make a good amount from streams, but like not as much that you would think from it because of how little the artists get paid, you know.
Yeah,
But
yeah, they got them pretty huge. But you would think like I did like a joke the other day, like Papa Roach, The Last Resort, hit 2 billion, and I thought like, I wonder how much they're gonna get paid for the 2 billion.
Yeah, I mean their turnstile is like huge now. It's crazy. Like it's good for them. Like that band, like I remember when they were like just like a kind of like a regular hardcore band, you know, and now it's like
Yeah,
I can't even process how big they are because it's like to me those are just like dudes that we kind of know in the scene, you know. It's like but yeah, I mean like you know, it's crazy about the Spotify thing because it's like even the big artists still don't make as much as they should based on like
yeah.
how much. Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. It's fucking crazy.
No, it is crazy. I once joked that everyone owes Lars Ulrich an apology. Every like we should go back in time, back when Napster, everyone was saying that he sucked, and say, you know what, dude, you were right because he was right. He saw the future.
Yeah, I will say, like, I remember when that all went down, and I thought that he was such a piece of shit for that whole Napster thing. Um,
Yeah.
I guess you make a solid point. You know?
Now everyone would like to go back and say, you know what, dude, you were right. Like like say what you say about him, but like I think everyone's like, yeah, we should apologize to you because you saw the future coming. Because it started like that, and now everyone's like a lot of artists are complaining, and especially older artists. I'm like, you shouldn't complain because you didn't complain back at that time because probably if you weren't an artist at that time, like, what the hell? This is what you know.
Yeah,
So it's hard to stomach.
definitely, definitely. It's a that's I forget somebody else made that analogy like oh, can you stomach this new album? And I was like, well, it's already begun. The stomach puns, you know?
The stomach puns, yeah. We can get cheesy with it, but yeah, I'm gonna show the album artwork. So yeah, this is the album artwork. So it's pretty, it's pretty interesting. Why did you choose? I see there's like a wolf and a faceless man. It says Parasite. What were you trying to convey with this album artwork?
So I've had this image for kind of a while.
Mhm.
It's I don't really know exactly what it is, but to me it looks like somebody in like a parka, like I mean, I'm pretty sure that he's actually slitting a husky's throat. Um, I'm pretty sure that that's what's happening in this photo. It's just, it's
Are
a
you
very,
sure they might be hugging?
I mean, it's possible. Let let's go ahead and assume the latter, just because you know that would be a more wholesome image.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, it's a very brutal image if so, you know, and I think it just kind of looks kind of bleak and kind of weird, you know.
yeah.
And I feel like, you know, I had the name for the album before I came up with the artwork, and I had been like sitting on this image for some time, and I just thought like it just looked perfect, you know. And like let's say that he is actually killing the dog. I mean, like Parasite all of a sudden becomes a pretty good natured title for that, you know.
Yeah.
I think I think it fits pretty good. So yeah, like honestly, the way that I've always made shirts or album covers, like I've always just tried to come up with imagery that looks a certain way as opposed to maybe an image that necessarily means anything specific, you know? So I feel
Yeah, I
like
think it leaves a lot to the interpretation.
exactly, exactly. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think that like it looks bleak. It's Xeroxed in a way that's like, you know, kind of looks kind of shitty and grainy, you know. I think it's pretty perfect for the vibe of the album, you know.
Oh yeah, I agree. It fits in with the music and the vibe of the album, and you need to look better at it to like figure like what's going on the album. So what are some of the themes that you touch on Parasite?
So there's quite a few. I would say for the most part, it's like a lot of like self-loathing, like not really in a funny way, but more so just like, those feelings you get when you're just like you don't have like high self-esteem. Maybe as you get older, like you kind of start to hate yourself more in certain ways. Like you look in the mirror and you feel like you're you don't like the way you look anymore. Like there's some of that on there. Just like that, like self-loathing depression sort of, um there's some songs about like like child abuse, things like that, like just like the disgusting nature of like domestic violence, things like that.
Which one is the one about domestic abuse? Is it Midnight in Pain?
No, that's a difference. Crawl Space is the song that I wrote about that, which actually has the album title Parasite in
Yeah,
there.
yeah, that one starts the album. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Crawl Space is the song that I wrote about domestic violence. And just like the just basically being disgusted by anyone that would like hurt either a
Oh,
child or a member of their family. Um, and so yeah, if you read the lyrics in that context, you could kind of see what that's about, you know.
well, if you
Um,
just read the song titles alone, uh, can depress you. Like Tooth Decay.
yeah.
Uh, that's is that about like the how awful and expensive dentists are in the United States?
I wish it was something that simple. That's
Because let me tell you, when I was living in the States, I fucking hated my dentist. Like you would go and it's like, oh, we clean your teeth. How much is that? That's like $400. I'm like, did you like change all my teeth or like shit? Like,
it's fucked up, man. The entire medical care, like healthcare industry is fucked up. It's like insane. Um, but yeah, dentist stuff too, like dental. It's very, very expensive without insurance, and even with insurance, it can be very expensive sometimes. And
that's why a
coming,
lot of people have tooth decay.
yeah, I know, I know, man.
Because they can't afford it. And then you have a song called Ocular Migraine. I'm like, yes, this is it's very bleak, and I look at you, I'm like, you look totally fine. Like, what happened to you, man? Like, this is I'm
You
looking at
know,
this, and when I was reading this, I thought I was gonna interview like this bleak, like super guy, and you look like totally like normal up together. So yeah, they're pretty like just the train track argument. I wonder, yeah, what's that the train track argument?
so that's a kind of like oddball song on the record because I actually wrote that song and those lyrics based on, well, you obviously are familiar with Nirvana, right? Because we
Oh,
just talked about Foo Fighters, right? Um,
yeah, they're
well,
a
there's
very obscure band.
yeah, well, of course, but um, there's a Nirvana documentary where they're talking about like the speculation that Courtney might have murdered Kurt Cobain, Courtney Love.
Oh yeah, I
Um,
remember that.
yeah, and in one of the scenes, they're talking to this guy El Duce, who sang in that band, The Mentors. They're like an old
Mhm.
like he's hardcore band, and he is kind of like out of his mind, like clearly this like crazy fucking guy, and he like claims that he has like some information that's like proof that like Courtney killed Kurt, right? Like he basically like claims to have known her and claims to like know more about the situation and all that. And like he's claiming like, yeah, she really did hire somebody to kill Kurt or whatever. And so in this interview in the documentary, they're right by a bunch of train tracks, and he's like being interviewed about this. And I don't know, like the whole like the song title comes from the train tracks that are part of that, and like the whole argument of like whether or not that happened, whether or not Courtney was responsible for that. So
Yeah.
it's kind of random, but like that's how I came up with the song title and like the lyrics to that. Um, and it again, it like a lot of the Stomach lyrics are just very abstract anyway. So it's like it
Mm.
doesn't really matter to me if anybody knows that that's what the song's about. I like to just kind of paint a picture and see
Oh,
what people get.
well, now people will know.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I
would
mean,
have never guessed that it was about that in particular.
I
Like,
know it's very like, I mean, hey, whoever watches this will get some insider info.
yeah, I'll be like, oh my God, I didn't know that's what these interviews are for. We get to the nitty gritty. Yeah, I don't know about that guy and his theory, but I'm pretty sure he shot himself.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that that whole thing has been beaten to death at this point, and
Yeah,
like the whole thing, like with that guy from the Mentors, is that, I mean, that guy is clearly fucking nuts in whatever. I mean, he actually passed away. I don't know if I forget how he passed away. Maybe it was like a drug overdose, or maybe somebody killed him or whatever.
maybe
But
near the train tracks.
yeah, honestly, who knows? Like
Like who the hell does an interview in train tracks? Like,
it's something. Yeah, I just, I haven't even seen the documentary in quite some time, but I just remember him being like kind of like over near some train tracks, and then they're just talking to him, and like, I mean, it's
yeah.
it's kind of like a vague memory, but
Yeah. I
that's
think
where
I started seeing like a documentary they had on HBO, something about Kurt, but it's something about his diaries, and I really was bored with it, and I shut it off. I'm like, I really care more about the music stuff than whatever. Like, uh, obviously, like for I'm guessing you and me are like the same age. It's like this is a band that everyone like every musician or everyone that was in the 90s was influenced by or listened to. Uh
definitely.
so so then you have song Bathwater, and no, for people who are watching this is not a No Doubt cover.
It's definitely not a No Doubt cover. Um, that song is the one that's like about kind of getting old and like starting to get, kind of be disgusted with like yourself, or like how you've grown over the years, or like maybe even physically, like you start to like look at your own body sometimes, and like you realize that you're aging, and like that's like just a whole song about like, yeah.
I actually look better now than in my 30s, so I can't complain.
That's awesome, man. Good for you. That's great.
It's good, like but yeah, that's not the case for everyone. So for you, like when you obviously work on these abstract lyrics, I'm getting like a sense of your mind, like because you said that the you got inspired train track argument by that documentary. Like do you like watch TV, or like where do you find inspirations? Like you'll be doing something and like you like get inspiration and write it down, or how does that work for you?
Yeah, I usually just like, it's all random, the ideas that I get. And the thing is that like it might come from like a TV show, like a scene in a documentary. It might be like something I was thinking about. Like, I mean, honestly, like the ideas come from all over, but what I like to do is I like to take the inspiration for it and kind of write the lyrics in a way where they're kind of all they kind of all have the same general vibe. You know what I mean?
Oh
So it's
yeah.
like you might there might be like, oh, I got the inspiration for this song from like, my daughter riding a bike or something, like, or like something you would never expect, like something totally random, like, oh, like I was at like you know uh I don't know, like the movies, like I saw something in the movie theater, like in the parking lot of a movie theater or something. Like, my point is that it could come from anywhere, but like then
Mhm.
I kind of like formulate the song in a way that's so abstract that it almost doesn't even matter anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Plus, another one that's I'm like interests me is like double lung transplant. When I was
Yeah.
reading the titles, I felt like, well, maybe he works in medicine, or
A lot of the song titles kind of ended up like almost being like involving like body parts or like medical
something like
stuff.
maybe he's a doctor who doctor by night and like sludge metal dude by night.
Hey, I wish I would pay my bills a lot easier if I were a doctor by night. That would be
Well,
something.
it depends. A lot of doctors have a lot of like debt, so
That's
student
true.
loans.
Yeah,
So you
like
never know.
10 years of medical school can't be
But
cheap.
yeah, yeah. So double lung transplant. What's the story on that one?
So that song is actually like I kind of like I got the inspiration because um I was thinking about like how people that smoke, like cigarettes,
Yeah, that's what.
um like I was thinking about how in the wintertime they have to smoke outside, right? And they're basically, and no offense to you if like you're a smoker or anything like that,
No, I
but
used to smoke years ago, and I left it. I think it's a stupid habit.
yeah, I mean me too. I think it's stupid
Plus,
too.
it doesn't get you high, and plus you get your fingers turn yellow and your teeth, and it's it's I years ago I left it, and the best thing. But I wasn't like these people that are like that smoke like a pack a day. No, it was more like college. You would go out, you would drink, you would smoke. No, so it wasn't that hard.
Yeah,
Uh,
for sure. I mean, like it obviously like some people can do it casually. I mean, I have like family members that have been smoking forever, so it's like
well,
some
I don't know
people.
about you, but I feel like I see less people smoking cigarettes now than
Uh,
back in the day.
I think that if I haven't like looked at the numbers or anything, but I would think that like, well, I mean, I don't know. It seems like a lot of people are vaping now.
Yeah,
Like I think
maybe,
that's like a
maybe we should call Corey Taylor and maybe he'll have the answer for us. Like, hey
that's a good idea.
Corey, like what do you think? What do you think about smoking? He'll
Let's
be
get him
like,
on the line.
yeah, he'll be like, oh, I don't know, but the only thing I can tell you is that Slipknot is not making money. He'll be
Yeah.
like bullshit,
You
like
will,
with
we'll
your
have to we'll have to see how fast he can just like change the subject and now make it about like how they're not making enough money. I'll be like,
making a
hey, listen, man,
they're
you're
not
making a
making enough
shitload more money
money.
than I am.
Like, oh, I'm sure he's making more money than you and me and probably four more people combined.
Probably like 20 people combined, at least
Yeah,
from the
so yeah,
people that I
it's
from
like
the people
it's
that
like,
I
oh,
know. I don't
please
really know a lot of wealthy people, so
cry
um,
me a river with like that, like, oh, we're not making enough money.
yeah,
But
that's
yeah, so the smoking thing, yeah. So yeah, a lot of
so
people like, yeah, I remember when I lived in the States, and yeah, people like in the cold and smoking and
so the
uh
song is very judgmental. It's kind of like almost like, hey, you're basically a song about like how idiotic it is to smoke. Not even like just because it's bad for you, but also the fact that like in order to do it, like you basically have to be outside for the most part, unless you like smoke in your own house. But like if you think about it, like there's people like taking breaks at work, like in front of the building or like in the alley, and it's like it's fucking cold here in the Midwest. Like it gets
oh
to be
yeah.
it gets to be like 20 degrees below
Yeah.
zero.
So you know what? Here in Puerto Rico, I live in Puerto Rico. It's hot. So even if you go outside, it's still as bad because you're sweating and smoking.
Yeah, yeah. It's just kind of like no matter what way you look at it, I mean, I'll be the first to admit it's a very judgmental track, but like I mean, it is what it
Maybe
is. Like
maybe
it's
you should sell that track to the Marlboro company.
I think I should. That's a good idea.
Well, I know that we're old enough. You remember back in the day when we were in the like 80s, I remember like driving and seeing those like huge camels. You remember there was the cartoon
Of
camel
course.
with the cigarette?
Yeah, of
So
course.
it was so common when you went to the movies. They showed you. I remember even here in Puerto Rico, they showed you liquor stuff, smoking stuff, and now they don't show any of that. Uh, So when people say like, why did people like in the 90s drank and smoke so much? Because you told us to in the movie theater and all the advertising is like, if you don't smoke and you don't drink, you won't get the girl. So
Oh
well,
yeah. The marketing for, I mean, it's so fucked up, man. Like
yeah.
the idea that like there's this business that literally like murders people, or you know what? Forces people to murder themselves, and it's like, I mean, that's like a whole other thing. But like, yeah, the song is basically just about how it's like pretty embarrassing and idiotic to be like seen outside doing that, because it's like, yeah, I don't know. I think that that's one of the least abstract songs on the record, actually, because like you could read those lyrics and you could kind of see it's like,
No, just the name, like if you're getting a double lung transplant, you did something very bad uh,
totally.
to your lungs. So I will you ever write like a happy song?
My wife asks me that all the time, because she's like, I just once I would love to see you write like a positive song, and it's
It's
like,
like, can you write a love song for me?
yeah, she's asked me that. I don't think I can. Honestly, I there's too much like there's too much pent up like hostility and negativity like in my head. I will say that like I try to be generally like a pretty positive person to be around. I don't like to,
Mm.
I don't like to, like when people hang out with me, I don't like to be like a downer or like make people not want to be around me or anything like that. I pretty much reserve my negativity for like the
The,
music.
you get it out that way.
Exactly. Yeah, I
Yeah,
try.
because
I try. A lot of people that I work with, like if they find out that I play this kind of music, like they would say like we had no idea, like we would never think that about you, because you're
oh,
so like positive and happy and like always
they
smiling.
probably think you're crazy. They'll be like, "Oh,
Yeah,
this dude is crazy." Yeah,
they
like,
pretty much do think that. I mean, I think that honestly sometimes about myself. So yeah.
but yeah, you could go and like, "Hey, let's talk about tooth decay."
Yeah,
Be
right.
like, what? Yeah,
That
like,
song, that song is actually about a friend of mine who passed away. Um, and we used to do a label together called Tooth Decay Records. Um, I don't know if
okay.
you're, yeah, I don't know if you're familiar with like Weekend Nachos or anything, but like, um, my last band, Weekend Nachos, like our first 7-inch came out on this label, Tooth Decay
We
Records.
that sounds like a fun band. That almost sounds like it was your ska band, like
You
Weekend
know what?
Nachos.
A lot of people say like Weekend Nachos. That's basically sounds like a ska band, and we basically named it that on purpose because we always wanted to like throw people off and just kind of
Oh
like,
no, no! Now that I'm getting to know you, I'm like thinking, oh, that must sound like Sublime. I'm thinking, no, it has to sound the exact opposite of what the name suggests.
yeah, Weekend Nachos was like kind of like a, I don't know. I guess I would kind of call it like power violence. Like it was just like more like infest crossed out like fast stuff. So like just real like fast thrashy hardcore. Um, but lots of lyrics about like killing people and like hating religion and all this shit. So um, yeah, it was fun. It was like a good time. That band like started with this label that my friend and I did back in like 2004. Um, and the reason I named the song Tooth Decay is because the song is about him. Um, and I just kind of felt like it was a good title. It's kind of personal.
Yeah, but send it to the dentist so they think it's about them.
I will. They'll probably think they're getting like a death threat or something.
Like, probably. So yeah, I would have never known that Tooth Decay was about that. So and train. So yeah, it's like they're very abstract. At least I got the one about the smoking. I'm like, yeah, that has to be about smoking. Correct.
Yeah,
So you put out the album is out now. Where can people buy it? Do you have physical copies right now?
I do. People can order it from me, but mostly I think it'd be best to just order it straight from the label. There's a few distros that have it. Um, Rotten to the Core Records has it, that they're like a pretty big distro based out of Vegas. This record store, Meteor Gem in Chicago, has it. But yeah, you could get it directly from the label. Hibernation Release is the name of the label. If you want to hit me up on Instagram, like you can get it there too. So,
Nice.
yeah.
So yeah, so hit up Stomach if you want to get the album, and it's a very interesting listen, and it's you two people doing a lot of noise with just guitar and a drum. So it's very interesting. And yes, obviously, look, like I want, like you should, like the people from your work, you should show them like, hey, I'm in a band, that they'll like look at this and be like, oh my god, like like
Yeah,
you,
I don't really share it with people
I
for the most.
wouldn't share it either if I did.
Yeah, I mean, like I work in like I work as a manager in a call center. So it's like kind of like an office, it's an office setting, and we work for, just like retail basically. And yeah, nobody really like I don't nobody really would know if they to
You
me.
know what, John? Now that you tell me that you work in a call center, I can understand why you're so angry.
Oh yeah, there's
I used to work in a call center too, and I fucking hated it like years
it's
ago.
pretty brutal, dude. Honestly, like that's
Hmm.
way scarier than most anything you'd find in like a horror movie or anything.
Oh
Working at
yeah,
a, that's that's it.
it,
That's the top of it.
it's pretty scary. So I'm gonna post the link for people who want to get the record. So I would recommend this, if you want something like sludgy, slow, and in your face, and you definitely read the lyrics. Uh, Check out Stomach and Parasite. It's out now. I'll put the link so everyone can listen to it. So, John, anything you like to say to, like, what's next for the band? I know that you have the album out. Are you gonna do like some sporadic shows, or how will that work?
So I would really like to start playing more shows. Ever
Mm.
since we started playing live with like the two-piece lineup with me and Adam, it's like gone over extremely well. And like I'm just really stoked to like maybe do some more shows. Like, I don't know, we're not really like well known enough to like get on like big fests or anything. So ideally, just because I don't have a lot of time to do stuff
Mm.
like with the band, ideally it would be great if we were able to like play like a bigger fest like once or twice
Yeah.
a year, but
Who
that's
knows?
yeah.
Maybe Corey Taylor will will watch this video, and it's like, I need them on my tour so they can witness firsthand why we're not making money.
I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. He might be a little butthurt because we both just trash talked him like 20 minutes ago. So,
Uh,
but if he
he'll
wants to
be
give us
fine.
some opportunity like that, then I'll apologize to him and I'll retract the statement. So,
Yeah,
um,
he'll
but
be
yeah,
like, I don't. Yeah.
we're working on like another album. So I've got like another full length written that I'm gonna record hopefully in the next few months. So promise to be more even more bleak and sludgy and you know I think it'll be a good record. So I've got more coming.
Oh yes. And if the record doesn't work, some therapy.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? I've put it off long enough. Maybe I should go that route. We'll see.
But you can get it out with the music, and maybe one day your wife will get a love song from you.
Yes, it's coming someday, I swear. One of these days I'm gonna write it, I'm gonna play it for her, and it'll be beautiful.
I'm sure it will. So, John, I've had fun, chatting with you about Stomach, and different. We talked like so many different topics today, all over the place, but it's been fun. So, people, the Stomach album is out now. I'll post the links and everything. And until next time, people, this is Hector, the Shield Dude on a couch, and I'll see you all right here on the couch. Thank you and goodbye.